to some local businesses that support this podcast. Konos Restaurant, 16 Clinton Street. Local businesses that support this podcast. New Jersey. Konos Restaurant, 16 Clinton Street. Halsey News, 2 Prudential Drive, New Jersey. In the heart of Brick City, New Jersey, Halsey News, 2 Prudential Drive. Shahida and Sadiqa. Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Stop in. Tell me you heard about him on the podcast. And that it was live. The Fruit House, 764 Broad Street, Brick City, New Jersey, 8:30 to 5:30. Say hello to Johan. Grab a raw juice, smoothie, ginger shot, sea moss, pineapple, fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, everything you need. Oh, so nice it is. And also, if you get a chance, stop by these websites. PrologicStrategies.com. Flofokuz, bringing it to you live all the way. PrologicStrategies.com each and every day. Networkingforsuccess.info/grooveology-360. That's our thank you link. If it's your first time on the podcast, we want to welcome you. Hit that link to that thank you page. Sign up for some gifts just for you. LiquidManna.com. Oxygenated products. Do you a lot of good and alleviate your harm. LiquidManna.com. Check them out. Last but not least, BearCatBody.com. Oh yeah. Gotta get it into you. That's right. Oh yeah. Sing it to me, girl. BearCatBody.com. Everything for your body. That's right. Hair, scalp, skin, nails, eyes, dental, internal. Lovely Leslie Wright. Out of sight. BearCatBody.com. These are businesses that show love to this podcast, so we show it back. Once again, Friday night cool and talk. Welcome, my friends. We're gonna rock for about another minute or two with this. Make sure to get it into you. Sing it to me, girl. I can feel it. That's right. That's right. Ooh. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Tonight. Once again, everybody, my friends, we definitely want to welcome you to the podcast once again. Friday night, cool and talk. Definitely going to be out of sight. Tonight, we've got a grand topic for you. I know we sent out the notices. I know you all got them. What happens when the master becomes a servant and vice versa? What happens when the master and the servant switch places? Well, it's a very interesting topic. It's a very interesting concept. It's been shown to us in many different ways. Movies, television shows, stage plays, and the like. We've seen it all, and we've seen it time and time again. But tonight is not just about master and servant relationship. It's a little bit deeper than that. So tonight we'll kind of go there, but we're going to talk about some things tonight. Because with the master and the servant relationship, there's two ideas that we want to bring to you tonight. And of course, I got to shout out the Supermassive Extra Hype team in the building. We're going to unmute the lines in just a moment, everybody, because we're going to make this more of a relaxed, open discussion tonight. However, a little bit of housekeeping rules that we're going to put out there for everybody tonight, including myself, okay? We are behooved to stay on topic tonight because this is going to add to the foundation of our knowledge bases. Now, just so that everybody's clear on what I'm saying, what you already know, what we're bringing out tonight is going to add to it. So you build on top of foundation and you continue to build upward and outward, okay? So tonight, we're going to talk about two ideas when it comes to a master and a servant relationship. And oh, by the way, this is still the series, A Journey Through Civics, okay? Secrets to the Game Revealed. Tonight, it's when the master becomes the servant. And the two ideas that we're going to put out here tonight are perspective and permission. Say that again. The two ideas that we will be dealing with tonight, perspective, permission. Okay? I'm going to unmute the lines.
Unmuted.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the podcast once again. Glad to hear you on the line. Glad to have you here. We all hope that you had a very good week. We had a little bit of warm weather, but that's okay. At least it wasn't in the triple digits like it was like a couple of weeks ago. That was brutal. But we got a reprieve. I'm glad we did. A lot of us were able to get out, get around and about without having to worry about, excessive heat. But that's another thing that we'll kind of weave into this fabric tonight if we can. But tonight, we also want to take one other moment here. I want to welcome new people to the line. Now, if you're a returning listener, well, we are glad to have you. If you are a new listener to the line, if you are a new listener, and this is your first, maybe second or third time, maybe you haven't spoke up before, but you are new to this podcast, to this night, I encourage you to speak up. You don't have to give your name if you don't want to. You can rep your city, and whoever invited you, you can give them the credit. You can throw it back on them, okay? But if you're new on this line, we want to welcome you to the podcast. We want to thank you for joining us. And I sincerely hope, and so does my co-host, Flofokuz, that we can give you some information that you can use tonight, you can take with you, and you can start to apply it. You can duplicate with it right now. Because that's really what one of the names of the game is duplication. Anything that we see that is a benefit that can be duplicated, well, we're prone to go ahead with that and go ahead and move forward with it. But tonight, without further ado, welcome to everybody who's new to the line. And we want to bring you the master-servant relationship. What happens when a master becomes a servant? Well, that's a very peculiar statement to make because, technically speaking, in the study of civics, the people who are the ones who elect, who vote, choose representatives to represent their interest. Not so much to do their bidding, but in a way, yes, but more so to represent the interest of the people that have voted those individuals into an office because of their integrity, their intelligence, their qualifications, basically, their public speaking skills, their ability to hold a conversation, negotiate, basically to show that they can handle themselves and handle situations and get the job done, okay? Because technically what we don't want is we don't want about 10,000 people with 10,000 different opinions trying to deal with one issue. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. We get a whole lot of perspectives and a whole lot of information flying around, and none of it seems to stick because everybody has their own opinion, and everybody's doing what they think is right in their own mind. So everybody's right, but ain't nothing getting done for everybody because everybody's got a difference of opinion. That's a perspective. That is not a shared perspective. Well, in a sense, it is a shared perspective, but the dichotomy of it is that it's a shared perspective in that nobody is sharing the same perspective, but it is a perspective all the same. Now, one question I want to ask, and if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. But there's everybody on this line, is everybody clear on what a perspective is? I'm just asking. If you're not, speak up. We'll go ahead and we'll handle it right now. If somebody else on the line may benefit from that dialogue or that conversation, that information. Is everybody on this line clear with what a perspective is? Just making sure before we move forward. Okay, so everybody, I'm assuming everybody is clear about what a perspective is. Okay, so I don't really have to define that for anybody. I don't have to explain it or break it down. Just making sure. Okay, all right, so we have perspectives. These are more than just thoughts. These are thoughts that.
Could you explain your perspective on what the definition is, so everybody can understand what yours is?
Sure. I'll do that. I can do that. Okay, a perspective from my point of view, which is all it is. It's an established core of principles, things that I adopt to myself as my point of view. And I hold these principles for whatever reasons. They may be that it was about information that I received, knowledge that I know. It could be a tradition in the family. It could be a custom in my culture. But these are things that I adopt, points of view, points of interest that I hold to myself, that because I'm holding them, they form what is a perspective, my outlook on things based on what I'm holding, information. So in other words, just as a real simple example, my perspective regarding inflation may come from information that was circulated around my community, where most people are not gainfully employed, but they're overworking themselves because they have to have more than one place of employment or income stream in order to handle what they need to handle, working 2 jobs or more. My perspective about, the higher prices in my community may differ from somebody else who's gainfully employed and making a high living or prevailing wage. My perspective on it may be, well, here we need to work two jobs because we don't have those kind of jobs available here. So because we are here and because we have a lot of foot traffic and a lot of traffic around here, but we don't have a lot of high-paying jobs, we have to work more than one job in this community, in this area, to beat back the high prices of inflation. But that comes from information that I receive from different sources and that I hold according to, what the facts are at that time for me. So that's a perspective. I hope that was clear to everybody. If anybody has any requests, I'll be more than happy to deal with them right now before we move forward. Okay. All right. So there's something that's going on here that a lot of us see, but we don't see. That's also dealing with a perspective. But it's not so much perspective based on information or knowledge alone. It's a perspective based on submission. And I want to talk about that word submission because a lot of times we don't kind of get it. It does not actually mean surrender in the terms of you win, I lose, or I win, you lose. It doesn't always mean that. That is more of a surrender. This type of submission that I'm talking about is an offering. In other words, if I'm riding public transportation and I'm sitting in the seats for, let's say people who are maybe, seniors, or disabled, I might be sitting in a seat up there. And someone may get on, gentleman, an elegant lady, or someone who's, differently able or disabled. I'm sitting up there in them seats because they've got on and they want to be, and it's made for them to be cared for and accommodated first. I'm going to submit my position, that seat, over to that person that just got on. I'm going to get up. That's a form of submission. I'm going to give them my seat. I'm going to offer them that seat by getting up out of it so they can have it. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to submission with respect to a perspective that's held. Master-servant relationship. It waffled. It flipped over. And we knew it, but we really didn't think of it as a big deal. And that's what's going on in a lot of our dealings of the day. A lot of the information that we hear, read, talk about. It's not always inaccurate information. It is accurate. A lot of it is accurate. But the delivery of this information is where things seem to falter. And it's not faltering because anything is really being held back from us. That's not really what seems to be going on here. People hold a perspective based on information, mostly. And whatever information they get, they do one of two things. They deal with the information They hold on to it. They use it. They claim it. They maintain it. And you can't move them off of it. No matter what, they're going to hold on to that. Like, an animal clinging to, a baby animal clinging to its mom. You're not going to get them off of it. Why? Because their perspective is based on the information that was provided from whatever that thing is. This is why in a lot of our customs and our traditions, in the ways that we deal, in the way that we look at things, a lot of times we may not like what we see or hear, but we will submit our own position to the position of the ones who are involved. Now, let me clarify that a little bit. When children are going to school, the school is responsible for the children as long as they are there on the school property, and even after they leave, until they get to their home or a place where someone can be responsible for them. That's how that works. That's how that works. When we're on the job and we're working, believe it or not, the employer has a responsibility for the safety, the health, and the welfare of the workers. That's why we have OSHA. Conditions in the workplace. Physical and emotional have to be up to standards. But there are times when the perspective that we hold is one of the information that we know. But what we sometimes do is we downplay what we know in exchange for comfortability. Get comfortable. Been working at a job for 5 years. We got a nice rapport with the people we work with. The bosses don't give us a hard time. Sometimes we might come in a few minutes late and the boss won't say nothing about it. But then there may be times when the hours may be cut short. We might gripe and complain, but we know that we signed up for a certain amount of hours guaranteed every week. And that's in our contract. It's in our agreement. We know we signed up for a certain amount to be paid by the hour. And if that amount happens to get cut, we might get mad. We might really get upset. We might lose our cool. But you know what? Beyond doing that, ain't nobody going to the labor board. I'm going to tell you why. Because we got comfortable. It became personal for us instead of professional. And the perspective that we had is that we do work in a professional place. But you know what? It ain't just professional, it ain't just business. This is now personal because we put friendship before business. We gave away permission for someone to be held responsible and accountable for what they do. Sometimes what we don't see, or what I should say is, we do see, but we don't really understand or realize what we're dealing with, is the fact that when we gave or submitted our positions, our power, what we knew cemented us in, we gave permission to just about anything and everything that could happen, as long as it didn't all happen at once. We could deal with a little bit here and there, ruffle our feathers, make us a little upset, get us angry, get us to the point where we talk and talk and talk, and we might talk until we're tired, and then talk some more, and then call people on the phone and talk about it, and then come back to work and talk about it some more. But you know what? Eventually it's going to die down, and it's going to pass, and we're going to remember it. But you know what? We gave away our permission. We gave permission for this to be done, whatever was done that got us all up in arms, that made us say, well, what is this? I don't want to do that. Well, I just may as well go along to get along, because see, everybody else is doing it. So if I don't do it, then I'm the odd man out. I'm be the odd one out. And that may be true. That may be true. You may stand alone on that one. But do you stand on principle, or do you stand to give permission to those who don't deserve to rule and run your day-to-day decisions? The perspective is one that we hold for ourselves. We hold our own perspectives, our own thoughts, our own feelings about things, our own knowledge to what we know. All of this forms our perspective, our experiences, our traditions, our cultures, our customs, places we've been, people we've talked to and broke bread with, conversations we've had. All of these things help us to form our perspective. What I hold, what my come from is, how I'm going to look at this, how I'm going to view this, what I'm going to think of this, what I know of these things. Now, that's a very powerful position to have. But a lot of times, what can happen is once we see that this is what it is and it's rigid and it's that way, we start to kind of get a little cloudy there, not clear anymore. We blur the lines. Why? Because everything's cool. We start to get to know people. We start to talk to people. We start getting personal with people. Hey, yeah, it's natural. We laugh, we joke, we talk, we share emotions. We feel when people are hurting. We feel when they're, when they've lost a loved one or the family pet. Or a tragedy has happened to somebody. Or somebody's elated because, hey, they just hit the pick six. It's their last day. Yeah, I know we want to be a part of that. We want that ticket too. But all of these things have happened, and it's just a part of life. But where our perspective comes in sometimes we submit our seated perspective to another, and that changes things because now we rationalize and we make excuses. Case in point, something has ever happened to someone that has also happened to you, and this person is so up in arms about it. They're pissed. They're burnt. They don't like what happened. They want right to be done. They want to be made whole. That may have been us at one time. And we've gone to people and we've talked to people about it because it really bothers us. And for that to be the case, sparks my ears up. My antennas are all the way up now. I want to know what's going on. Why you like this? What's going on? What happened? Not just so I can sit up here and hear and then offer nothing in return. It's because I genuinely want to know what to look out for, what's happening, what's happening with you, what is it causing in your life, what are the fears that you now have, what are the concerns you have. See, because I know that this can travel from place to place to place. So I want to know, what am I looking at? I'm concerned for them and for myself and for others. But you get to those people who you tell this to, and you know what their perspective is. Well, it happens. You're not the first one it's happened to. You certainly won't be the last one that it's happened to. And the person who just had that experience is now even more burnt than they were when they came into that situation to vent as to what just took place because somebody minimized their feelings. Oh, that's just the way it goes. What do you mean that's just the way it goes? You mean I gotta take this? You mean tell me that I worked overtime and I just got paid straight time and I'm supposed to just take that? No, there was an agreement on the table. I was supposed to get time and a half, and on the weekends, when I work the weekends, I'm supposed to get double time. But I just got straight time. Well, it's happened to all of us too. So, get used to it. Right there. That's an example, an evidence that people have given permission to others to do these things to them. And if we look at the current situation, everything is moving by at a quicksilver fast pace. You can hardly keep up with it. And we hear a lot of things that make us cringe, that make us scrunch up our face, make us do a double take and say, whoa, let me hear that one again. Run that back. And if we're not careful as to what we're taking in and how we're taking it in and processing it, it's going to become a nurtured energy. We spoke about this last week. A few days ago, a nurtured energy. Like a symbiotic relationship where something depends on you to thrive, not necessarily you depending on it, but you two are joined at the hip, sharing resources, and it's alive because it's got you. And a lot of times, we're holding it like a baby. And it's just taking as much as it wants to take. And every time we hear something that triggers something in us, maybe emotions, that nurtured energy jolts us, and automatically we react according to what that energy is. We have just given permission to the suggestions that have been put out there to cause us to react. We gave away permission. Why? Because we did not hold our perspective. We just gave it up. Because it was easier to give it up than to sit up here and try to figure out what to do. Just give up. Don't even fight it. Don't even look. They didn't pay you overtime. Listen, just be grateful that you're working. Huh? Really? Really? Be grateful that I'm working. They're robbing you by not paying you the way that they should pay you, and everybody else, and trust me, the employer knows this, is going to sit up there and try to convince you that it's not a big deal. They robbed everybody. Like that's the thing to do. Like that's something that I should be looking forward to. Oh yeah, I just want to get robbed again. Yeah, boss. Tell you what, I'm going to do some overtime here. And you know what? On the weekend, I'm going to come and I'm going to do 18 hours every day. And I know I'm going to get straight time. What happened to my perspective, things that I hold true? What happened to the good old-fashioned values that I had to say, listen, a day's wage for a day, a day's work for a day's wage? What happened to that perspective, the integrity of that, the truthfulness of it? What happened? Suggestions, maybe? We went into submission mode and abandoned our position. And in that case, to something that did not deserve the position that we just offered. But we volunteered. And in volunteering, what do? We give permission. We give permission. We don't ask questions. We don't question any authority. We don't perceived authority. I'm not even going to say authority. Perceived authority. Because along with perspective comes perception. What do you perceive that to be? It's how we so easily give permission to be dealt with by our new handlers. I mean, we may as well just go ahead and just put the harness on ourselves, buckle it up, give the reins to somebody and say, all right, tell me what to do. Tell me when to go, when to stop, when to turn. Tell me how fast, how far. Tell me when to go in, when to eat. Tell me to do everything. Perception. You perceive authority. Not because it's part of our perspective, but because it's offered as a suggestion to us. Someone telling you what it is and how it's going to be and how it's always been and it's always going to go this way. So don't buck the system. Don't buck the rule. Well, see, there's a problem with that because the system does not make the rule. It only operates according to rules that it was given to operate by. And guess who are the ones who gave the rules for the system to work by? Exactly. Yes, indeed, exactly. Think of it this way. To those of us who have children, would you ever let your children order you around like they had it like that? Would you ever let your children chastise you? Would you ever let that happen? Or better yet, would you ever let your children challenge you openly in public or in private? As if they can do that. Would you ever perceive that your offspring, the ones you born in this world and the ones that you could take out, have the absolute authority to order you around, to have you change your perception so your perspective means nothing because you're giving them permission? Would you ever concede to that? A lot of this is going around today. Comfort. We don't want the hard work that goes with the responsibility of keeping checks and balances. We have them. But we've given permission to somebody else to do the checks and balances and then find themselves of no wrongdoing, no ill will, no malice, according to their policies. Think about this for a second, and trust me, this is not a beat-up session, but this is just a real dialogue here, where the tires meet the ground, where the rubber meets the road. This ain't about nobody doing anything better than anybody else. It's just about looking at or realizing that there is more going on here than we're being told, that we even know. We have our suspicions, but do we push further to confirm what we suspect so that now we can know what to expect or know what's going on and then know where we stand and how to and what to and who, when, and why. We have responsibility. And it ain't easy work keeping checks and balances, but because of what we have been handed, we have the responsibility of doing. Now, we can talk about doing, or we can talk about doing all day long. But when it comes to actually doing, are we ready for that? As if that was an option. It's not an option. It's a requirement. Accountability and responsibility go hand in hand. Talked about that. We've already talked about this in this journey through civics. But not just about what's going on that's coming at us. How about the way we are with each other? I mean, really. Are we giving each other grace? Are we even trying to do that? I must admit, I wasn't that guy some time ago. I wasn't that guy. I wasn't the guy to give grace. I would say okay, but I'd still be feeling some type of way. But how we interact can be a matter of perspective. How I deal with him or her based on my perspective, what I hold dear. Her, I might deal with close because we hear. We have that understanding. We hear. Him, I might have to deal with a long-handled spoon because we not here. But he may be able to do some things that both of us receive a benefit from. But I can't let him too close to me because I see how he moves. Now, he has a great talent, but his motives I don't want nothing to do with. So I don't want to get personal with him. I want to keep it professional. There, arm's length. You stay over there. You cool, you right, you good there. You still in the room. You just ain't all up in here. But you in the room. So at least we can talk. Plan, strategize. Okay, now let's do it that way, and that's it. I don't want to hear about nothing else. I don't want to hear about no personal stuff. Don't share nothing with me. No, I ain't got time on that. We handle the business, that's it. We meet back here again and discuss more business, whatever we're going to do moving forward, and that's all it's going to be. That's my perspective. But if I know or I got a suspicion that the motives are not the greatest, the intentions, something that I don't feel right about. And they start to talk to me about things outside of business and I engaged, I just gave them permission to include me in their mess. Compare that to what we have going on all over the place. It's chaotic in some places. It's very chaotic. Just let this one sink in. And really, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you who to do it with. I can't tell you anything to do. I really can't. I can suggest, but I can put information out here. And it's up to each person as an individual to take it or not for what it is to them. I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you what some options are. I can tell you what's there. I can tell you that the first thing that I would do, and this is just me, I'd want to start asking some questions. I'd be a little curious about some things. All of this stuff going on just don't seem natural. And the more I hear about it, the less natural it seems to be. Kind of like somebody's running game. Somebody's trying to keep from being put out there. Somebody don't want somebody to know some things. That's what it seems like to me. But I could be mistaken. But I will keep asking questions because I want to know. Now, that doesn't apply to everybody. Sometimes it applies to situations, circumstances, events, people, places, and things, not so much, but sometimes the things that operate because people are there. May not be everybody, but there may be certainly something in there that needs to be questioned. Responsibility, accountability is ours, belongs to us. They gave us the keys. Here you go. Now you guard the castle. You guard the mansion. And all of the assets. You have access to them all. But watch who you give them away to. Watch who you let hold them keys. Some of them will take them keys and you'll never see them again, and all of a sudden your assets that you were charged with holding, gone. Who can you call? Report it? Yeah, but all that does is show that we dropped our responsibility. Because instead of keeping our perspectives and keeping it where it was supposed to be, whether arm's length, professional, or something else, we did not hold that standard. We got a little too comfortable, a little too trusting, a little bit too personal. And I'm not saying that we can't have good relations with people, but there is a time and a place for everything. And every event ain't for every place, and everything ain't for everybody. There are some things that we can release and let out there. There are some things that we need to hold close to the chest. But at the end of the day, one thing that has to be realized is that all of us are feeling the effects of something. It could be one thing, it could be many things, it could be a few things, it could be two things, but all of us are feeling the effects of at least one thing that is affecting all of us in common. I can name one thing right now, generally speaking, that's affecting everybody in some kind of way. Everybody, I don't care who you are, has concerns with health. Something is going on. We may not talk about it. We might not mention it for whatever reason, but that does not mean that people don't want to hear it. Doesn't mean that. It just means that we just don't talk about it. We don't want to be a burden on anybody else. But we'll give permission away to others to handle us. Tell us what to do, where to go, why, how, when. A lot of times, my friends, and I've heard this said before, and I see it now more than ever, we are our own worst enemies. It's us. It really is us. And a lot of times we don't see it that way because we're feeling the effects of something that we don't like, that doesn't feel good, that really may break us down and tear us down. In a lot of those situations and instances, if we were really deep dive into it, and see what perception we were using when we were dealing with that situation. Were we paying attention? Were we paying attention to details? Or did we just kind of just get lax? Just say, oh, everything's fine, without verifying anything. Because this is the way we've always done it. This is what happens when the master takes on the servant role. Giving somebody else the keys to your assets, to your kingdom, to your wealth, to your position, to your power, and trusting blindly that they're going to do right because they know what to do, they know what they should do, but that does not always mean that they will. Sometimes they won't. And it's nothing worse than somebody who won't and who's done that. And you can never get in touch with them. They never take a call. They never answer the phone. Go straight to voicemail. They don't respond back to text messages. You call up, somebody takes a message for them. That person never calls you back. Get bitter. We're disappointed in ourselves, and then outwardly we project it. And that's when we go and speak to somebody, and they say, oh, well, you know, happened to me too. You ain't the first. Certainly ain't going to be the last. I said, what? So, my friends, perception and perspective, two opposite ends, connected by permission. When the master takes on the servant role, it's simply because the perspective that the master was given to hold, basically the instructions, were changed by a perception of what they thought would make things a lot easier and a lot more efficient and easier to run if they just delegated some of that power to someone else. Hey, listen, I got you covered. Leave everything to me. Powder Toast Man. Ren and Stimpy. Hey, don't worry about anything. Leave everything to me. And they do mean everything. Leave everything to them. Yeah. Your access, your resources, your assets. Yeah, leave everything to them. Because once you turn it over, they ain't going to give it back. And once you turn it over, you can't go and force it back. You know why? Because that's called theft. You can't force it. Once you give it, you gave it. You gifted it. Didn't put a condition on it. Didn't put a probationary period on it. Didn't give it a trial run. Just absolutely, unconditionally gave permission away. Here you go. Yeah. You're gonna do this and do this, right? But they didn't say for how long. But we didn't have that conversation. Our perspective would say, nah, I ain't trusting nobody with this. I gotta have this. I gotta hold this. I'm not giving this away to nobody. Especially nobody I can't trust. Even if it is gonna seem to make it simpler, make life easier for me without having all of that responsibility. That's a perception. That's a perception, perceived. Easier. Comfort. Perceived trustworthiness. And once we go down those rabbit holes, trying to find where our stuff went, where we got off track, we have to realize that we let these things go. Nobody took it from us. We let it go. But with that being the case, can we recover it? Can we get it back? Don't know. Maybe. But we got to be real to ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to start taking inventory and judging our own actions, even before we do them. We got to take time to sit down and have a conversation with ourselves. Let all that other noise just miss you. And with that being said, my friends, it's a real topic tonight. It's real talk. It's real discussion. I want you to feel left out. I don't want you to feel guilty. I don't want you to feel like I'm heaping anything down on you. And if I am, or if you feel that kind of way, please forgive me and accept my sincerest apologies for that. But I'm giving you some truth and some reality. And I know that if I didn't give you the truth and the reality that I have, if something happened and you found out that I didn't know and I didn't say anything about it, that would be worse. Gatekeeping. I could have told you. It could have been avoided. Somebody should have told you. They had the information, and what they do, they gatekept it. No, I ain't telling nobody about this. No, you can't know where I got this from. No, Well, maybe that person might need that. Maybe they need it for someone else. Who knows? It could do somebody some good, but no. We can't let that go. I ain't telling nobody about this. Not cute. Not at all. Downright shameful. The way we can be toward each other. Should never be. But it is. But it's a perception. What we perceive to be clashes with our perspective. Our perspective is what we know to be. But when we start listening to those who don't have our best interests at heart, we give them permission when we entertain their rhetoric. When we start paying attention and parroting back what we hear, and then putting out those same old cliches, we've now allowed ourselves to be driven like a sleigh full of reindeer. It's time for us to really, really sit down if you like, if you want to. Just have a little conversation in your own mind. Just a suggestion. And let the truth just be what it is. May not like it. But at the end of the day, it may do us more good than we ever thought it could. Nobody else is going to come save us but us. I've said this before. There ain't no pie in the sky. There ain't no silver lining. There ain't nothing going to crack open. Ain't no whole army of this. No, 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 no. Don't. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. In a literal sense, but in a figurative sense, okay, figuratively. But at the end of the day, it's a metaphor. It's designed for us to take that and apply it to our own situations as we are the ones in control of where we're destined to be. We make decisions and choices all the time. And nobody forced us to do it. We did it. So, time to stop shifting blame and saying we got in our own way. I'll be the first to say I got in my own way in a lot of different things, in a lot of different ways. But because I wanted to be me and I wanted to be the way I was, guess what? I pointed the finger. But I didn't take accountability and responsibility for my own involvement in it. I gave permission, and then I complained. Or then I just said, oh, well, it just happens. No, it don't have to happen. That's where we got it. That's where we got it twisted. It ain't had to happen. It never had to happen. Can we recover it? Sure we can. That's going to take work. Yeah. Unfortunately. And when we get ourselves into these positions, guess what? It's time for us to put in some work. It's time to start using those muscles that we got. It's time to start building ourselves up under the heat and the pressure and the gauntlet of fire, where all the dross gets burned out of us, and we come out and we something to behold because we've been forged. Sometimes it takes that. But sometimes we don't want that.
Is it open mic or not?
It is. It is. The floor is open. The floor is open.
Okay. I can only take it to. I can only take respect. Oh, excuse me. I can only take ability for my own action, and I am. So what you're saying, you're only speaking truth, and I did give permission. I might not have been fully aware maybe what I was doing at that point in time, but I gave fully permission, but I am taking action for what I have done. But they no longer have control over me, no more. And yes, we can get that rights back. And that's what I'm doing. So all you doing is speaking right. And may I add too?
Yes. Yes.
Why do you yawn so much? My goodness.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, my goodness.
But thank you for noticing. I'll try to keep
Okay.
I'll try to keep up with that a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. But no, we all should take responsibility to choices that we do make, even if we're not maybe at that point aware of what we're doing, because sometimes we're not aware of what we're doing at that moment. And our family do take rights. We give them rights to take control of our you know, our
Mhm.
responsibility,
Yes.
and that do happens, but we can't take that rights back. And at that moment, that's what I'm doing. Yes, I am fighting
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, that's right. Don't just sit still. You know,
no,
don't just bury your head in the sand. You
yes,
know.
yes. And
But
sometimes we do rely on them, and they say, "Oh, we coming," and they don't.
mhm.
No, they don't.
That does happen.
Yep.
That is a very real thing.
Hmm. Yeah, they don't. And then they say, and then you go back, they go back and forth, and they
Mhm.
said, "Oh, they didn't say that." Yes,
Mhm.
they did, and they make you out
Mhm.
to be a liar. Huh.
They try
Well,
to. They
yeah,
may try.
yeah.
Mhm.
All this type of back and forth type of thing. Everything that you said is the truth. So yeah, I don't want to go. Everything you said, Marcus. Everything you said is the truth. But I don't want to go into full the you know like
I got you.
yeah. Everything you said was practically the truth. But yes, it's the truth. But if you leave it up to them, I'm
Mhm.
crazy.
Well, I thank you for sharing. You know, I do thank you for your voice. We all have one, and it's very important that we do share it. And I thank you for doing that.
You're quite
Um,
welcome.
yeah, because it is what it is at this point. Um, a lot of things. Well, we had a hand in, but you know, we can have a hand in undoing a lot of things that have happened. But it just takes us to pick up responsibility and put in the work.
Yes, and you have
Sometimes.
to. You have to.
Hmm.
Why was you miming back and forth? Like, what's the point?
Hmm.
Like, what's the
Exactly.
point? And I don't feel though. Why should I have to?
Hmm. Exactly.
It's taking too much of my time, and they feel though that I should, and I'm not giving them that much of my time.
Hmm. That's right. That's
And why
right.
should I give you that much of my time? You doing all that dope on your on my. I mean, come on. But everything you're saying is the truth, but you don't want that yawn in my ear like that.
Well, you must like it because it's just what it is. You know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Brings a little joy to people's lives. So I'm glad to be able to do that.
But nah, everything you saying is the truth, Marcus, and I hope everyone take this to action and take back your rights. Take back your rights, especially when you wasn't coherent when you was going through your illness, and take back your rights. Yes, and I rest him there, Marcus.
Thank you. Thank you for your voice. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything. You know, I tell you, man. Greetings to the tribe, to everybody. It's really interesting.
Yes. Yes. Are you there, brother? I think you cut out of us. You might have went on mute. Hold on. All right. Can everybody hear me? Hmm.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'm just on mute. Yes, and I think
Okay.
his
Okay.
phone. I think he just had a drop call, Marcus.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm going
Just
back
want
on
to be
mute.
sure. All right. All right. All right. Well, we'll wait for him to come back. But in the meantime, the floor is open. Open dialogue tonight. Just a little bit of conversation. A little bit of dialogue. And so feel free. Please feel free to chime in and share what you will. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll share this. And I'm switching gears here for a minute. Don't forget, August the 16th. It's a Saturday. It's coming up real soon. Real soon. August the 16th. The Grown Folk Talkin' Express Yourself Network is having their Disease Prevention Convention Health Forum. This event is going to be located at the Salvation Army, 699 Springfield Avenue, Newark, New Jersey. Springfield is one of the main avenues in Newark. You can get to it from Broad and Market Street, downtown area. That's Saturday, August 16th, beginning from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Come on out. It's going to be a good time, a great time, plenty of speakers and plenty of goods, services, and products, too, that can benefit your family and you. So make sure you come on out, August 16th, 12 noon to 6 p.m. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled program. The line is open. Please feel free to chime in. Okay. I think I heard somebody, but I think his call dropped again, so we'll see if he can make it back in. So, everybody, basically tonight.
Let's repeat that again so I could put an answer. I'm sorry.
The address for the Disease Prevention Convention Health Forum is the Salvation Army, located at 699
Yes.
Springfield Avenue.
Okay.
That's in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will be there. I'll be in attendance. That's right, bright and early. That's right, up front and in person. We're going to have over 20 speakers there, 20 scheduled speakers to be there. And I will be there as well, and I'll say a little something, but now I'm going to go ahead and if you're on, you want to chime in, please feel free. The floor is open for conversation.
Marcus, this is Joffrey. Hello.
Hey, Mr. Joffrey.
That's the 25 route. That's the Route 25 route out of Penn Station or coming up out of Newark past Penn Station. The 25 route take you right down. I think it's 19th Street.
Yes.
I think. Okay.
You are correct.
So it's the 25 route if you catch in public transportation.
Yes.
But I'm trying to piece together what you were talking about, and it almost sounded like you were talking about PPP. Were you talking PPP, a perspective, another P, and then permission?
Perception. Perspective, permission.
Perspective, perception, and permission. PPP. Yes. Sounds like a loan a lot of us are getting in trouble for taking. Anyway. I can't say that I really follow you. I'm not challenging you. I'm just not really following you because I have my ideation about life and living, and they actually fall out of harmony with most people. And that's why I find myself not in much communication with most people. Uh, but I'm doing things. I'm doing things uh, that I'm not happy about. But you're saying that I'm willfully submitting uh, to what is going on. Well, I guess it is a willful submittance. But when you don't know what else to do, I guess that puts you in that position. Uh, and I'll leave it there. I don't want to just ramble.
Well, I'll respond to that because that is a very good point to make. As I stated before, a lot of times, and I've stated this before, and I'll just rehash this again. We don't know certain things. We're not aware of certain things, and this is a true thing. And when we're not aware of certain things, then the things that we're used to dealing with becomes the norm for us until we're given something that is different from what we've dealt with all along. And a lot of times when that happens, we become dismissive because we've done things a certain way for so long that it becomes second nature. It's like knee jerk. We may not look, we may not give regard to what we were just told about, not because we, have proven or know that it's not something, worthwhile, but simply because we got caught up in something that takes the place of us knowing or being accountable and responsible because we have relied on others for that just because we didn't know. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. Nobody's at fault for that. I'm not saying anybody's to blame. But it is a reality. It has happened. And if we look at it, we can see the signs everywhere. We can see it happening to people everywhere. We all seem to have it happening to us, and it seems to be something that is just accepted, that this is just the norm. This is just what happens. Oh, yeah, you worked overtime, but you didn't get time and a half. They paid you straight time, but they said they were going to pay you overtime. And, listen, just don't talk about it. Don't worry about it. It just happened to all of us, too. We all accepted they need us to work. At least they're giving us straight time. But that's not to be accepted. Because we know better, they know better, but they think they can get away with it. And they think that we'll accept it, and there'll be enough other people to say, don't worry about it. It's just what it is. Doesn't mean that we should accept it. So I hope that kind of speaks to what you were saying. I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm saying realistically speaking, we have all gone through this. Some of us, we still go through it. But I'm here to drop information.
Permission to speak.
Well, I heard two people here, so who would like to speak first?
Go ahead, I'll yield, good brother. I'll wait till after he's done.
Okay.
No, go ahead, brother. You know why? Because you was getting in first, and you got cut off the line for whatever happened. Your phone dropped off, so you go ahead first, brother.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank us. It's part of the reason why I was speaking to how much we really need each other. Anything can be put on a table. You're invited to a gathering, be a party, family reunion, whatever the case may be. What interests you most, what's relative to your particular lifestyle, is some of the things you're seeking. It doesn't mean that another piece of that information that people are sharing might, it still possibly can go along with what you're striving to do, what you're doing. It's impossible for one person to know everything. So my question was, how important is it? I don't even know where I dropped off at, but what I was speaking to is how you spoke to, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll handle it. It's basically you're giving away your kingdom, your inheritance, and everything to these alien forces, just like the so-called New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the timeline with the way all of these things took place, Civil War was in the 1800s. All this information about mind science and thought came out. Then they talk about the New Deal, basically one of their so-called first resets. Now, it didn't benefit everybody because, there's a lot of families that had a lot of money. But to take society off of the gold and silver standard, and all obligation is supposed to be on the government. But yet, they didn't teach society how to process the paperwork to get their daily bread and their daily needs taken care of. So that goes back to my question. Do you feel it's important and we really need each other? And if you have any ideas on what we could do to come back together, so we could share information and bring back these our societies, metropolises like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, and all these other places.
Well, to answer your first one, yes, we do absolutely need one another. I agree with that 100%. To answer your second one, what can we do? Any ideas? I think this is a start right here. I think sharing back and forth with one another, talking and listening to each other is a good start, and it can develop and move forward. But I think we all need to play a part in our own situations, and then as a collective for each and everybody else. That's just my opinion. All right, he may have dropped again. So, all right, Brother Leon, you had you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, did the brother come back? Was that him that just chimed in the room? I mean, we won't know until he speaks out. But Brother Ed, are you back in the room? Nope, that wasn't him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still here. I was sitting in the parking lot because I was in the store when I came out. I heard most of what he said, but Brother Marcus, what was the last thing you said before you asked me?
Oh, I said in terms of ideas as to what we can do to change our situation, I believe this platform and other platforms like it are a good start because we can connect, and I think we need to share with one another what options may be available, what we've heard, what we've gotten, and to a listening ear to those that want to hear. Let them hear. But I don't force anything on anybody, but if anybody wants to know, then I do share what I have. And I that's just me. I can't tell anybody else what to do, but that's my thought.
Yeah, and because it is important to take liberty, meaning to share, because
Yes.
just like on these platforms, we're here. There's people that's always listening, not sharing, not asking questions, and that's fine. No matter what an individual chooses to do, and self-respecting and respecting themselves is fine. But sometimes there's people that's just hoping for, some information that's going to assist them with changing their paradigm. You ask most people, they make good money. A friend of mine used to work at the airline. He was upstairs. Had the key to that special bathroom and all of those things. And I asked him one day, would you want one of your children to inherit your job, even at that level? He said, hell no. Because of the level of stress. Now the money's good, but the level of stress, the things that goes along with it. So, it's just like so many things, with a little bit of research that I've done. None of the products that we consume in America is allowed in Europe. They're not having it. Most of our people don't even know. Well, most people, regardless of nationality, they don't know these things. So that's why I said sometimes it's important to take liberty, just to share, drop a little breadcrumbs, the old Hansel and Gretel story. It was about their striving to get back, out of the woods, but the greater reality is they weren't fearful to take a look, you see, and it's free will, yes, but sometimes, people do have the right information. It just takes a collective effort. They're coming out with these new contract driver's license. It's just so many things that's going on right now. It's almost like you will be beneficial to get a passport, instead of getting these contracts.
Yes. Yes. Facts. Facts. Facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my seatbelt on, man, before I start saying too much. But we need to,
Yeah.
It's okay if somebody doesn't understand. Hopefully, they will ask a question of any kind, self-respecting. Just like what we do. But it's just important that we get clarity on things because it's impossible to know everything. More has been taken from us. Remember, we were prisoners of war on our own land. Couldn't read, write, or nothing. There's just so many things to consider. Sometimes you got to look behind you to see where you're going.
Yes.
I yield. Thank us. Thank us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thanks for chiming in. Brother Leon?
I come on this line in peace as usual, as always. It's good to hear another king or goddess that want to speak out, but I'm talking about the king that just spoke because he says something that I've always said up here, and that was we were prisoners of war. When you don't know your history, you keep thinking that the Europeans enslaved us through Atlantic slave trades, but we were prisoners of war of ourselves way back. And being a prisoner of war, ladies and gentlemen, we were still at peace with ourselves. It just means I got caught on Brother Ed's land because I went off my land. That's where everything started from. Started from sending our young men out into the woods at 13, 14, 15 years old to go bring back food for the tribe. And when he did, he was considered a man, and he was able to take on a wife. But if I went too far off my land to go hunting because I knew on Brother Ed's land they had better game, and I went there and the tribe, Brother Ed caught me, then they took me to their tribe and made me learn their ways. And we weren't allowed to interact with their women, but you know how we do. Some of us did, and it started a whole nother tribe. So when we talk about when he said prisoners of war, that's what it was. It wasn't actually war like, guns and spirits. It was that I just got caught over there. But then when the Europeans showed up with the different things that they had, they would trade that prisoner from my land that Brother Ed had me. He would trade me for whatever the Europeans had. It was never about color, ladies and gentlemen. Being a prisoner of war was never about color at first. The Atlantic slave trade was all about color, domination, colonized, all these words, these different words we can come up with. But, I didn't, when Brother Ed said that, it just made me want to chime into that to try to explain it a little bit more in details from my research. His could be a little bit different from what I know from what he knows. It's still a part of the piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle comes together. What I came on to talk about is what you first talked about in the beginning, and that was we talked about the bus rides and getting up for the elders. Back when I was a little young man and I would catch the bus with my father, those seats up front, they wasn't necessarily for the elders, but the elders, the older generation, sat there because we fought allegedly so hard and so much to have the right to sit where we wanted on the bus. And, and we would get on the bus and go straight to the back. After all that fighting that we did, I don't want to use the word allegedly, because the story that we were sold, all of us were sold the story in school, that, we had a lady who stood up and wouldn't move and got arrested and yada, 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 right? We were sold that story. And there was no truth to that story. I'm not going to say it wasn't no truth. It was truth, but she wasn't the first one. Hey, my mom.
Right.
She wasn't, excuse me, people. Hold on, my mom, I'm talking. Hold on. She wasn't the first one that fought for her seat. It was a prostitute, but they couldn't use her because, what she did, it didn't look, it wasn't a good look for them. So they used Rosa Parks. But here you go. My father would always sit on the front of the bus because he didn't want to, move back. Sometimes you couldn't. You had to go back there. It was so full. You had to go back there. But and that's where all the ruckus was. That's where the party was back there, with the younger generation. But he always taught me when I got on that bus, if we were sitting up front and a lady came on, it didn't matter whether she was elderly or not. She could have been my age. And he said, you always get up and give your seat to a female, especially to the elders. That was something that was installed inside of me since I was a little kid riding the bus. And I don't know if anybody remembers, some of them seats in the back, like, the back door where it was, the seats that sat right there, if you pulled them up, you could get the wheelchairs inside of there. You didn't see a lot of the wheelchairs on the buses some days back then. But every now and then you would see a couple. But you're right. That's everything starts at home, ladies and gentlemen. That I feel everything starts at home, and just because I turned out bad, don't mean I had bad parents. It just means when I got out there, the world got a hold of me, or I got a hold of the world, and I wanted to do my own thing, and I started to go in the direction that I wanted to. It didn't mean my parents was bad. They raised me bad, or I had a one-parent home, which we had a lot of that, and we have a lot of that more now than ever. It just means that, I got caught up out there. And the only thing you could do is pray that your kids come back, and they never get out there in the first place. And I yield.
Thank you for that, brother. Appreciate both of y'all. Appreciate also the goddesses, forgive me. Appreciate the goddesses on the line that spoke up tonight. We got about another minute because we're running short. We got Brother Ed coming on here at 8 p.m. So I want to give another minute. If anyone wants to sum up something very quick in about a minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get ready to do our announcements and our closings to make way for Brother Ed. So anybody else, we got about 45 seconds. So if anybody wants to sum up.
Yeah, I have to appreciate Brother Leon, because I too learned that in Alkebulan, when they fought, they didn't fight to the death, and they absorbed the kingdoms that they overran into their own. Okay, so they took in prisoners of war and assimilated them into their own kingdom. Yes, I appreciate that, and I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I appreciate all the information, that's being shared. And I'm just going to drop a little gem here, little gem drop, and then we're going to go into our closings. A passport is a travel document. You can use a passport when you're behind the wheel of a car. Just in case you didn't know, you can. You can carry it around with you as well. And it is accepted everywhere that IDs and driver's licenses are, and some places where licenses and IDs are not. So that's just a little gem drop, everybody. A passport is an official travel document. And if you actually have a passport, you don't have to get a real ID if you don't want to. That's up to you. Gem drop. We'll do some more on our next show. But at this time, I just want to thank everybody for coming on. At 8 p.m., which is in less than 10 minutes, we have Brother Ed with Thy Will Be Done coming on. So everybody, once this show ends, everybody please clear the line and then tune right back in at 8 p.m. for Brother Ed for Thy Will Be Done. It's got a lot of good information to share. So make sure you come back in, show some support, and show some love for his podcast tonight at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 7 a.m., we got the prayer call, Miss Cal Lucille. At 2 p.m., we have AC with Consequence of Benefits. 4 p.m., we have Mama Mahasa with Soul Liberators. 6 p.m., we got Forrest Nance with Grown Folk Talking and his special guest. And then tomorrow at 8 p.m., Tony Moore will be coming in to give us talk about health, wealth, and other issues that affect the quality of our life. Everybody, that will do it for this podcast tonight. I want to thank everybody for chiming in. And as is customary, Flofokuz, you on the line, brother? You already know. You got the last word.
I am here. I appreciate everyone for showing up tonight. And listen, man, I don't always have to say much.
All right.
Oh, no.
Well, he may be in the background doing something with the technicalities.
Damn it.
So I will take the liberties. And I will say to everybody, thank you all for coming on tonight. And it's because of what you do that allows us to do what we do right here on the network and bring it right back to you. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I hope we all got something good out of this. We will continue it on Monday at 6 p.m. And everybody, have a great night. Thank you for coming in. Love you all. Peace.
Good night. Peace and prosperity.
Good night. Good night.